Schaefer, along with Jordan Danbury and Jasmine Holmes. Start with an opening statement from Coach, and then if you raise your hand, we'll get a microphone.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Another week coming up in the SEC. Just recapping a great effort by my team on Sunday. I'm just so proud of them, and I thought our kids were outstanding, and I'm proud of them, proud of their effort. But you know what? You got about 24 hours to enjoy that, and then you got to move on. If you get caught looking in your rearview mirror, somebody's gonna get you, and that's what my focus and our focus will be today and this week is you got to move on and go to the next one. And I think for this group, we're going to give God the glory for being 22-1, and then we're going to try to really guard against. We're going to stay humble and stay hungry, and I think that's the challenge for any coach this time of year that's having a special year is. I don't need to get beat to get my attention. At the same time, it's hard for kids because everybody's telling them they're the next best thing since sliced bread. And when you start believing all that stuff and drinking the Kool-Aid, that's when bad things happen. So we've got to continue to get better. I think that's the key for us. It's always been I would like to think it's been a trait of our program and our team over the years as we consistently get better throughout the course of the season. And I thought Sunday we looked like we had gotten better from the week before. And so now can we string it together and have another week where we look like we got better? And that's my job as a coach to see if we can get that out of them. And it's their job as student athletes to push themselves and let's go get better. So that'll be our focus in practice. And we've got a heck of a team coming in here. They're hot. They're playing well. Won 3 of their last 4 in Missouri. Obviously have some really good players, well coached, and a little bit of a veteran group. So we'll have to play really, really well. They've already gone on the road and had some big wins at Tennessee, beat A&M in overtime at home, and so they have my full attention. They'll have our kids' full attention. We have a lot of respect for them. We've had some real knockdown and drag-outs over the year, and we'll get ready for another one on Thursday.
Start on the left with Robbie.
Vic, you could probably ask a lot of people their opinion on Sophie Cunningham, how she plays, and get a lot of different answers. How would you describe her game and how successful she's been over the last 4 years too?
Well, she's been very successful. She's a tough, hard-nosed physical basketball player, and I think that describes her to a T. So she's highly skilled. Excuse me, I just watched her open the game against Vanderbilt, make her first 4 shots, and all of them were threes. So she's obviously someone over the years we've come to pay close attention to. And, won't be any different on Thursday. She'll have our full attention, but I think that's a kid that plays extremely hard, is very intelligent, and knows the game, and she's just a smart, heady player.
Logan is smart.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm sure there's still a lot of basketball left to be played, but just your reaction to being in the first seeding, being the national seed.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about that is it's great to be mentioned in that group and all that, but we have so much basketball in front of us, and really, without question, I think we've got the toughest road to hoe to try to hold serve. So there's so much basketball left, and we're just going to focus on climbing the ladder. We're not focused on getting to the top of the ladder right now. We're focused on each rung in the ladder. If we focus on each rung, we'll get to the top. But I think you start glaring at the top and you miss the steps in between, I think that's when you can stumble. And I think for us, we certainly we know what it takes. This group right here, these 2 are prime examples. They know what it takes. They know the hard work and dedication that it takes to get there, and but we've got a lot left.
a quick follow up on Sophie. You have some of the same similarities in her game in some ways with Andriel. She can step out and shoot. She has some guard capabilities to go along with what she's able to do in the post. But how do you simulate for a player like that of Sophie's caliber that's able to step out and shoot threes? She can post up, she can get down low and make some plays in the post as well.
Yeah, we'll have to have a real good week of practice with our team and simulating that. I think we've got players on our team that can simulate it, and they'll do a good job. Of putting her in some positions where they think that she may have an advantage. Certainly, we feel like we'll figure out. We'll have a plan and try to attack that the best we can. And again, great players figure out a way to get it done. I think she's done that throughout her career, and so we've got to figure out a way defensively to handle them as a unit as well as some individual players.
Vic, it's been a few weeks now. How has this team changed without Chloe, and how have you managed to continue to score a lot of points even with really not a lot of three-point shooters, and it's so different from last year, just kind of the differences and how you continue to put points on the board?
Yeah, so even with Chloe, I think this is the best transition team we've had. They're really good. I mean, you're looking at the two fastest players I've ever coached. I thought Morgan was really fast, and she was, but Jazz is faster. Joe's explosive to me. I don't know that I've seen a more explosive player offensively when it comes to being able to get to her spot. And so I think when you have two players like this out on the perimeter, it just it creates some things for you offensively that are really hard to deal with defensively. So I think for us this year, even with Chloe, we were really good in transition. Number one, Jazz is outstanding in the open floor. She makes great decisions. If you don't guard her, she'll make you pay. She sees the floor. The thing you get with Joe is you got the same thing Jazz is in a two guard. They both can play, really. They both have similar mid-range games, if you will. And so you've got two point guards on the floor making decisions, but they have scoring mentalities. Joe more so than Jazz, because Jazz knows her job is to facilitate the rest of her team. But if you come off on Joe, Joe's got a point guard's mentality. She sees the floor extremely well, and she's able to deliver the ball to the right people at the right time. So it's really, it's a unique perspective. It's very similar. These two are very similar to two guards that I had on a team that won a national championship. I've got a point guard, and then I've got a combo guard, and so it's really it's unique to have two guards like we have, and then you can flip them on the other side, and boy, they can get after you on defense. They can really guard. They're smart. They know how to guard. They've been coached a long time. They know what you can and can't do, and they're always a step ahead. So it's I think for this team, to answer your question, we are different, just like last year's team was different than the year before, and so just because maybe we don't shoot the three as often, we still make some, but we've got other kids, man, that can really get to their spot and get to the rim, and then we also make some things happen in transition off our defense.
Sorry, I just wanted to expound. Having two guards that don't shoot the three very often, is that something you have to, when do you decide, okay, focus on what you do well? Was it tempting to get Jasmine and Jordan to shoot threes, get better at it so you could everybody wants to stretch the floor? When did you kind of decide, that's just not what we do well, let's do that? You understand what I'm saying?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and I think what you do as a coach, each team's different, and you try to focus on your strengths. And, these two, to me, they have no weakness. And if you want to talk about, I've seen Jazz make threes. I know she can stretch you. If she needs to, she'll bury it. I think both these guys, I've seen, we end a drill every day with every shoot around when we shoot the night before game, and Joe's down there in her favorite spot and she's making threes, but I think she's smart enough and knows, hey, I don't have to settle out here. Why settle? She can go get a higher percentage shot. She's shooting over 50% from the floor. she can go get a much higher percentage shot. And she knows I want that more than that one out there. So, you know, I think, again, and then when she goes and gets that higher percentage shot, when they think they can stop her from that, she's a great passer. You know, she sees the floor. So I just think that's what's allowed us to be really good offensively, is because they're good offensive players. If you want to put a limitation on them, go right ahead. We'll keep scoring 88 or 90.
To stay around the three-point line, Missouri takes a lot of them on a per possession basis. How do they create those threes, particularly in the half court?
Yeah, they run a lot of sets. They're really good at running their sets. Their whole team has great chemistry offensively. You know, they shoot 40, almost 41% as a team in the SEC from three-point range. That's a phenomenal number. And so, you know, but they do a great job. Robin she's a tremendous coach and handles that really well, has all her career, especially at Missouri, running multiple sets with different things that they do, whether they're double screening away, flare screening, ball screening. You know, they just do a great job. But you know what? You got to have players you have to have multiple players that can do that. If you don't have multiple players, you can always focus on one and not guard the rest of them. But when you got multiple kids, and right now they've got multiple players on the year, 43, 43, 35%. That's just their top three scorers. That's what they're doing on the course of the season. You go to conference, you know, Sophie's shooting 55% out there from three-point range. Amber Smith, 39%. The point guard, 46%. I mean, those are some astronomical numbers when you talk about shooting the three ball. 41% as a team, doing it against the best teams in the country, best coaches in the country. So you got to give them credit, and you got to know what they want to do and how they want to do it, and that's going to be our focus the next 2 days, is to try to deal with that a little bit.
Jazz, I'm curious if you had a goal in mind before the season for your assist to turnover ratio. Do you think about things like that?
Not really. I just play.
So when you see that you're almost averaging 5-1 in assist to turnovers, is that surprising, or is that something you knew that you could probably reach this year?
No, I think it's kind of surprising. Just getting my teammates the ball at the right time and whenever they need it, and them finishing. So that's what gets me the assist.
When you see you have a game, I don't know how much you look at box scores or how much coach is talking to you about it, but I think Sunday it was 8-1. You had 8 assists and 1 turnover. Is that something you take more pride in than anything when you look at what you did in any given game?
Yeah, I like passing more than I like scoring, just because I like my teammates being successful. So I mean,
The most important stat for the point guard is the W. At the end of the day, that's the stat you wear as a point guard. And you know, I didn't like not having her in here on Sunday. I know some other kids had some big games, but Jazz knows I'm taking her to the press room, win or lose, because she and I are the ones that have to wear it. You know, we're responsible, and that's the most important stat. She's having a really special year and doing a great job. So it's one of the reasons why we're where we are, without a doubt.
Jordan, y'all can correct me, Coach. You can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I want to say there was a couple games y'all came out of the press, maybe South Carolina, Auburn. It seems like y'all have just gotten really comfortable since that time. You know, you can say the competition, but y'all played a really long team, a really athletic team, and were able to wear them down. How comfortable do you feel like y'all have gotten in the press defensively, and how far do you feel like you have to go in it?
I think we've gotten better since then. We know that Coach didn't like us coming out of the press in the South Carolina game, so we focused on that a lot more in the next practices and for the next games. But that's just always our focus every game, to get in the press and wear them down, because you know that's where we get a lot of steals at in the press and get into transition with defense, and it starts on that end for our offense. So it's just a focus of ours to make sure we deny out there.
Jordan, how do you know, like I was talking about with Vic, obviously I'm sure people read the scouting report, look at you and say, all right, we're going to sag off her because she doesn't shoot. So how do you compensate for that? Because you're obviously still able to get to the rim pretty much whenever you want to. What's the most important part about your game to kind of establishing what you want to do on the court?
I just really read the defense. Whatever play that Coach Schaefer calls out, I just try to execute it, and he knows how to get around those defenses and knows exactly what play to call. So I just try to go out there and execute the plan.
Time for two more. Anything else, guys? Tyler?
Jordan, we hear Coach say all the time that you're like a second point guard on the court, and for a lot of teams, I don't think that's really the case. They have one point guard, and that's who they rely on to be the primary ball handler pretty much every possession. So what does it mean to you when you hear Coach say that, and you know that, he just talked about how important Jazz is as the point guard, but you're almost just as important. What does it mean to you to know that you have that vital of a role pretty much every offensive possession?
It's important to me as well. He's always talking to me as much as Jazz about taking care of the ball and making sure I don't turn it over. As a senior and as another point guard on the floor, I know it's beneficial for Jazz as well to have some help out there and bringing the ball up and not always have to run the team all the time. So I think it's just real helpful.
Anything else? Okay. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank y'all. Praise the Lord and go Dogs.